At my brother's graduation party. I'm talking about a venue, not our backyard, an actual venue with those fancy string lights and rented tables. My parents invited every relative I'd ever heard of, plus about 60 people I'd never seen before in my life. There was a caterer. Not like sandwich platters from the grocery store. A real caterer with servers walking around offering little appetizers on trays. My mom had spent months planning this thing. She had a Pinterest board. Multiple Pinterest boards, actually. And the live band? They played for 3 hours. My dad gave this big speech about how proud he was, how my brother was going to change the world. Everyone clapped. People cried. It was like watching a movie about someone else's perfect family. And honestly, I was happy for him. I really was. I thought, wow, when it's my turn, this is going to be amazing. I had no idea what was actually coming. But here's where the story really starts. 'Cause 2 years later, when I graduated with the same degree from the same school, the vibe was different. So I'm about 3 months away from graduation, right? And I'm excited. I worked my butt off for this degree. Late nights, early mornings, the whole deal. My GPA was actually higher than my brother's, not that anyone asked, but I'm just saying. I called my mom all excited like, "Hey, Mom! Graduation's in May, we should probably start planning." And there was this pause. This weird little silence on the other end of the phone that made my stomach drop. Then she goes, "Oh, honey, that's wonderful. We'll definitely be there." Notice what she said? We'll be there. Not we'll plan something. Not let's make this special. Just we'll show up. I tried to brush it off. Maybe she was busy. Maybe she was distracted. But then a few weeks go by and I'm seeing zero movement on any kind of celebration. My brother had his venue booked 6 months in advance. I couldn't even get my mom to discuss restaurant options. Finally, I brought it up again. And that's when she said the words that made my blood run cold. "We're keeping it small, sweetie." That's what my mom said. Just like that. Casual. Like she was telling me what she made for dinner. I said, "Small? What do you mean small?" And she explained, and I'm using that word loosely here, that they thought a quiet family dinner would be nicer. More intimate. More meaningful. I'm sitting there thinking, wait, did my brother's party with 200 people lack meaning? Was it not intimate enough? But I didn't say that. Not yet. I asked where we were going for this dinner. She named this chain restaurant. You know the kind, fine, nothing wrong with it. But it's where you go for a quick Tuesday night meal. Not where you celebrate 4 years of hard work and a college degree. I'm trying to stay calm. I'm trying to be understanding. I asked, "So who's coming to this small dinner?" And she listed them off, her, dad, my brother, and Jessica. Who's Jessica? Oh, just my brother's girlfriend of 8 months. His girlfriend got a seat at MY graduation dinner before any of MY friends did. Let me tell you how I found out Jessica was coming. My mom mentioned it like it was the most normal thing in the world. Oh, and Jessica will join us, of course. You know how your brother is, he wants her there for everything. I'm sorry, what? This is MY graduation dinner. My moment. And we're bringing my brother's girlfriend because he wants her there? I wasn't even allowed to bring MY best friend Sarah, who had been with me through every single all-nighter, every panic attack before exams, every moment of doubt. But Jessica, who I'd met exactly 3 times and who spent most of those times on her phone, he gets a seat at the table? I asked my mom if I could invite a couple of friends. Just 2. That's all I wanted. And you know what she said? "Sweetie, we said we're keeping it small. It's just going to be family." Apparently Jessica counted as family after 8 months, but Sarah, my friend of 10 years, didn't make the cut. But I still had no idea why they were treating me so differently. That revelation was still coming. I'm going to be honest with you, I cried that night. Not the pretty kind of crying either. The ugly, gut-wrenching sobs where you can't catch your breath. Because it wasn't really about the party size. It wasn't even about Jessica being there. It was about what all of this meant. It meant that my accomplishments didn't matter as much. That I didn't matter as much. And the worst part? Everyone was acting like I was being unreasonable for even bringing it up. My dad told me I was making a big deal out of nothing. My brother said I was being dramatic and that I should just be grateful they were doing anything at all. Grateful? Grateful? I started thinking back over the years, and suddenly all these little moments started clicking into place. Every time my achievements got a pat on the head while my brothers got a parade. Every time I was told to be more understanding or less sensitive. I'd been gaslit into thinking I was the problem. But then something inside me just snapped. You know what? I decided I was done. Done being quiet. Done being the easy kid. Done pretending this was okay. If they wanted to keep MY graduation dinner small and sad, fine. But I was going to make sure MY Day was celebrated the way I deserved. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I planned my own party. And I didn't tell them. Not my parents, not my brother, nobody. I reached out to my friends, my roommates, people from my classes, even some of my favorite professors. I found a beautiful outdoor space that a friend's family owned. I kept it simple but special. String lights, a potluck situation where everyone brought something, a playlist of all our favorite songs. It was everything I wanted. Genuine. Fun. Filled with people who actually cared about me and my achievement. I sent out invitations 3 weeks before graduation. The same weekend as that small family dinner my parents had planned. And I didn't mention a word about it to my family until 5 days before. So it's 5 days before graduation and we're having a regular family dinner. My mom's talking about what time we need to leave for the ceremony, what restaurant reservations she made. All casual, all assuming I'm just going along with their plan. And I just said it. Right there between the mashed potatoes and green beans. Oh, by the way, I won't be able to make that dinner. I'm having my own celebration that day. You could hear a pin drop. My mom's fork literally froze halfway to her mouth. My dad looked up from his plate like I'd just announced I was moving to Mars. My brother had the audacity to laugh. Like I'd just told a joke. What do you mean your own celebration? My mom asked. Her voice had that tight, controlled quality that meant she was trying very hard not to lose it. I smiled. The calmest I'd felt in weeks. I mean, I planned my own graduation party. With my friends. People who actually want to celebrate me. That's when my mother's face did something I'd never seen before. My mom turned bright red. Not like a cute blush, I'm talking full-on rage red. She put down her fork very slowly, very deliberately, and said, "You did what?" Her voice was shaking. I repeated myself, staying calm because I knew that would drive her even crazier. I planned my own party. It's the same day as your dinner, so I won't be able to make it. But you're all welcome to come to MY party instead if you want. My dad jumped in, trying to play peacemaker. Honey, your mother spent time planning that dinner for you. Don't you think this is a bit disrespectful? Disrespectful. That word. I looked at him and said, "You mean like how it was disrespectful to throw my brother a 200-person party with a live band, but I get a table for 5 at a chain restaurant?" Silence. Thick, heavy silence. My brother stopped laughing. I continued, "I'm not trying to be difficult. I just want one day where I feel like I matter as much as he does." That's when my mom said something that changed everything. My mom's eyes got watery, and for a second I thought maybe she was going to apologize. Maybe she'd finally see how much this hurt. But instead, she said, "You want to know why we made a bigger deal about your brother's graduation?" Her voice was sharp now, defensive. I nodded, my heart pounding because some part of me didn't actually want to hear this. "Because your brother needed it," she said. He struggled so much in school. He barely made it through. We wanted to celebrate that he actually finished. I sat there trying to process what I was hearing. So because I didn't struggle, because I worked hard and did well, I don't deserve to be celebrated? My mom shook her head like I wasn't getting it. That's not what I'm saying. You've always been self-sufficient. You've never needed us to push you or motivate you. Your brother needed that extra encouragement. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. So this was my reward for being responsible? For not causing problems? But she wasn't done. The next part was even worse. My mom kept going like she was on a roll now and couldn't stop. Sweetie, you have to understand. We've always known you'd be fine. You're smart, you're capable, you don't need constant validation. Your brother, he's different. He needs to feel successful to be successful. I'm staring at her and I can't believe what I'm hearing. She's literally telling me that because I'm competent, I don't deserve recognition. That my achievements mean less because they came easier to me. Except they didn't come easier. I worked my ass off. I just didn't make it everyone else's problem when things got hard. My dad nodded along like this made perfect sense. Your mother's right. We've never had to worry about you. But your brother, we want to build his confidence. So let me get this straight, I get punished for being low maintenance? I get smaller celebrations, less attention, less everything because I don't throw tantrums or need my hand held? The message was clear. If you want your parents' attention and celebration, you better struggle and complain. I looked at all three of them sitting there and something in me just broke free. I took a deep breath and said what I'd been holding in for years. So what you're telling me is that all this time I should have been more difficult? I should have complained more, struggled more, made you do more emotional labor, and then I would have gotten the same love and celebration he gets? My mom tried to interrupt, but I wasn't done. Do you have any idea how messed up that is? You're literally telling me that my success means less because I worked hard quietly. That being responsible and independent means I don't deserve the same recognition. My voice was shaking now, but I kept going. I have spent my entire life being the easy child, not causing problems, not asking for too much, making myself smaller so he could be bigger. And this is what I get? A table for 5 and a girlfriend who doesn't even know my middle name? My brother opened his mouth to say something, but I held up my hand. No. You don't get to talk right now. This isn't about you for once. And then I told them about the real party I'd planned. I pulled out my phone and showed them the invitation I'd sent out. 40 people had already RSVP'd yes. 40 people who actually cared about celebrating me. This is happening, I said. With or without you. I'm graduating from college and I'm going to have one day in my life where I feel like I matter. I told them about the venue, the potluck, the playlist. How my friends had volunteered to help set up. How one of my professors was coming and bringing a gift. How Sarah had offered to make a cake. Everything my parents should have been excited to do for me, my friends were stepping up to do with me. My mom's face went through about 17 different emotions. Shock, anger, guilt, defensiveness, all of it cycling through in real time. So you're just not coming to the dinner we planned, she finally asked. I shook my head. No, Mom. You're invited to my party. The dinner you planned? That's canceled. I'm not sitting through a sad meal where I'm supposed to be grateful for the bare minimum. My brother chose that moment to say the worst possible thing. My brother slammed his hand on the table. Are you kidding me right now? You're really going to throw a fit because Mom and Dad didn't throw you a massive party? Grow up. Oh, now he wanted to engage. I turned to him slowly. A fit? You think this is a fit? Tell me something. If Mom and Dad had thrown you a dinner for 5 at a chain restaurant after throwing me a party with 200 guests and a live band, would you have been okay with that? He sputtered. That's different. How? I demanded. How is it different? We have the same degree. From the same school. I actually had better grades than you. So explain to me how it's different. He couldn't. He literally couldn't come up with an answer that didn't sound ridiculous. So instead he went with, "You've always been jealous of me." I actually laughed. Jealous? Of what? Being coddled your entire life? Having every minor accomplishment treated like you cured cancer? No thanks. I'm not jealous. I'm just done being treated like I matter less. That's when Jessica, remember her, decided to add her 2 cents. Jessica, who again I barely knew, put her hand on my brother's arm and said, "Maybe you're being a little unfair to your family." I'm sorry, who asked her? I looked at her and said very calmly, "Jessica, with all due respect, you've been dating my brother for 8 months. You don't know our family history. You don't know what it's been like being the invisible child for 22 years. So maybe sit this one out." My brother jumped to her defense immediately. "Don't talk to her like that." Of course he did. Of course the girlfriend of 8 months gets defended while I've been dismissed for 2 decades. I stood up from the table. You know what? I'm done with this conversation. Party is happening. You're all invited. Show up or don't. But I'm not canceling it, and I'm not apologizing for wanting to celebrate my own achievement. I grabbed my purse and headed for the door. My mom called after me, "Where are you going?" I turned around one last time, and I said something I'd never had the courage to say before. "I'm going to Sarah's house," I said. You know, the friend who's been there for me through everything? The one who apparently doesn't rate an invitation to my own graduation dinner. My mom looked like I'd slapped her. "Honey, please don't leave like this. Let's talk about—" "We just talked," I interrupted. And I heard everything I needed to hear. You think I don't need celebration because I'm capable. You think being self-sufficient means I don't deserve the same love and attention. Well, guess what? I'm done making myself smaller to make everyone else comfortable. I walked out. Just left. And you know what the craziest part was? I felt amazing. For the first time in my life, I'd stood up for myself without apologizing or backing down. I drove to Sarah's apartment, and when I got there, I just broke down. But these weren't sad tears anymore. They were angry tears, frustrated tears, but also kind of relieved tears. Like something that had been building up for years finally burst. Sarah listened to everything, and then she said something that changed my entire perspective. Sarah made us tea, she's that kind of friend, and she said, "You know what this is, right? Classic golden child scapegoat dynamic." I'd heard those terms before, but never really applied them to my own family. She explained it to me. The golden child gets all the attention, all the celebration, all the accommodations. The scapegoat, or in my case, the forgotten child, gets ignored because they're not causing problems. Your parents have trained you to accept less, Sarah said. And the messed up part is they probably don't even realize they're doing it. They genuinely think they're being fair because in their minds, your brother needs more. It was like a light bulb went off. This wasn't just about one graduation party. This was about a lifetime of being told my needs didn't matter as much because I wasn't squeaky wheel. "What you did tonight," Sarah continued. "Standing up for yourself? That's huge. That's you breaking a pattern that's been set for 22 years. I felt validated in a way I hadn't felt in ever maybe. But the real drama was just getting started because my phone would not stop buzzing. My phone was blowing up. First it was my mom. "Please come home so we can talk about this reasonably." Then my dad. "Your mother is very upset. This isn't like you." Then my brother. "You really hurt mom's feelings. Hope you're happy." I showed the messages to Sarah and she rolled her eyes. "Notice how it's all about their feelings? No one's asking about yours." She was right. Not one message acknowledged that I might be hurt, that I might have valid reasons for being upset. It was all about how I was being difficult, how I was causing drama, how I needed to come back and smooth things over. You know what I did? I turned off my phone. Just powered it down completely. Sarah high-fived me. We spent the rest of the night planning my party, making it even better than I'd originally envisioned. We added decorations I'd been too scared to ask for. We upgraded the food situation. We made a whole photo backdrop with congratulations signs. It was going to be perfect. I didn't turn my phone back on until the next morning, and when I did, oh boy, 63 messages. 63. I'm scrolling through them, and it's a whole journey. My mom went from "please come home" to "I don't understand why you're being so hurtful" to "maybe you need some space" to "we need to talk about your behavior," all in the span of one night. My dad sent a long message about respect and family and how I was being selfish. My brother sent exactly one message: "Mom's crying because of you." That one made me angry all over again. Mom's crying because of me? Not because of how she treated me. Not because she finally had to face the consequences of decades of favoritism. I'm the bad guy for having feelings? I typed out about 15 different responses and deleted them all. Finally, I just sent one message to the family group chat. "I love you all, but I'm not backing down on this. My party is happening Saturday at 3 p.m. Dress is in the invitation I sent. You're welcome to come. We can talk after graduation about everything else." My mom's response came in within 30 seconds, and it was not what I expected. My mom's message was a novel. I'm talking paragraphs. She went through every sacrifice she'd ever made for me. Every time she'd driven me somewhere, every meal she'd cooked, every school event she'd attended. "After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us," she wrote. "By publicly humiliating us and throwing our love back in our faces?" I read it 3 times, and each time I got angrier. 'Cause this is what they always do, right? When you set a boundary, suddenly you're ungrateful. Suddenly it's about everything they did, not about the one thing you're asking for. I showed it to Sarah, and she said, "That's textbook guilt tripping. She's trying to make you feel bad for having boundaries." But here's the thing, it was kind of working. I'm not going to lie. I started second-guessing myself. Was I being unfair? Was I overreacting? Was one party really worth all this family drama? I sat with those feelings for about an hour. And then I remembered something my therapist told me once. She said that the people who get upset when you set boundaries are the ones who benefited from you having none. That thought gave me strength. My mom was upset because for the first time in my life I wasn't backing down. I wasn't making myself smaller. I wasn't saying it's okay when it wasn't okay. I responded to her message with something simple: "Mom, I love you." But loving someone doesn't mean accepting less than I deserve. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to stand up for myself. There's a difference. I didn't engage with the guilt trip. Didn't defend myself against her list of sacrifices. Just stated my truth and left it there. Then I did something else. I reached out to my extended family. My aunts, uncles, cousins. The same people who'd been at my brother's massive party. I invited them to mine. And you know what happened? About half of them responded with some version of, "We'd love to come. We were actually wondering why your parents were keeping your celebrations so small." They had noticed. Other people had noticed the difference in treatment. And some of them had thoughts about why it was happening. My Aunt Linda called me instead of texting back. "Honey," she said, "I'm so glad you're doing this. I've been watching your parents treat you differently for years, and it's bothered me." I asked her why she thought they did it. There was a long pause. Then she said, "Your brother was a surprise baby. Your parents had been trying for years before you were born, and they'd given up. Then suddenly there you were. You were their miracle. I didn't understand what that had to do with anything." She continued. "Then 2 years later, completely unexpectedly, your brother came along. And I think I think your parents have always felt guilty about being shocked by his arrival. So they overcompensate with him to make up for not initially wanting a second child. My brain was spinning. So they neglect me to make up for initially not wanting him? Aunt Linda sighed. I don't think they see it as neglect. They see you as their achievement. You came out perfect, so their job is done. He's their project. This context should have made me feel better, but somehow it made everything worse. I got off the phone with Aunt Linda and just sat there. So my entire childhood, being overlooked, being told I was fine, being given less attention and celebration, it was all because I had the audacity to be, what? Well-adjusted? That's not my fault. I didn't ask to be capable. I didn't ask to be self-sufficient. I was a kid. Kids are supposed to need their parents, even the easy ones. And here's what really got me. My parents never dealt with their guilt about my brother, so they made it my problem. I paid the price for their emotional issues. I was giving up celebration and recognition and attention so they could feel better about themselves. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got, but also weirdly more confident in my decision. I deserved this party. I deserved to be celebrated. And I wasn't going to feel guilty about that anymore. I texted Aunt Linda back. Thank you for telling me. You're invited to my party and I really hope you'll come. She responded immediately with something that made me cry happy tears for the first time in days. Aunt Linda wrote, I'll be there and I'm bringing a gift that will knock your socks off. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. Not just for graduating, but for standing up for yourself. That takes more courage than any degree. I started crying right there in Sarah's apartment. 'Cause that's what I needed to hear. That I wasn't being bratty or difficult. That setting boundaries wasn't selfish. More family members started confirming they'd come. My cousin Maya said she was driving in from 3 states away. My Uncle Joe said he'd been waiting for years for me to stop letting them walk all over you, his words, not mine. Even my grandmother, my mom's mother, called me and said, About time you stood up for yourself, honey. I'll be there. I couldn't believe it. I'd been so afraid that standing up for myself would mean losing my family. But instead, I was discovering who in my family actually saw me, who actually valued me. And honestly, that meant more than any party ever could. But not everyone was happy about my growing support system, especially not my mother. My mom found out that her own mother and sister were coming to my party, and she lost it. She called me, actually called, not texted, and she was furious. You turned my family against me, she yelled. How dare you go behind my back and invite everyone to your little party? I stayed calm. Mom, they're my family too. And I didn't turn anyone against you. I just invited them to celebrate with me. She wasn't hearing it. This is so manipulative. You're trying to make me look like a bad mother. And that's when I said something I'd been holding back. Mom, I'm not making you look like anything. I'm just refusing to hide how you've treated me anymore. Silence. Then, quietly, almost dangerously, she said, If you go through with this party, there will be consequences. I asked what she meant. I mean that you're choosing your pride over your family. And that's a choice you'll have to live with. She hung up. My hands were shaking. Was she really threatening me? Over a graduation party? I called my dad, hoping he'd be more reasonable, but what he said was somehow even worse. My dad answered on the first ring. Did Mom just threaten me? I asked. He sighed, that disappointed dad sigh that used to make me crumble. Your mother is very hurt. We both are. You've made this into a much bigger issue than it needs to be. I tried to explain again, how I just wanted one day to feel valued. He cut me off. Here's the situation. If you cancel your party and come to the dinner we planned, we can move past this. If you insist on this rebellion, well, don't expect us to keep supporting you the way we have been. I felt my stomach drop. What does that mean? He was matter-of-fact about it. It means we've been helping with your car insurance, your phone bill, little things here and there. That help goes away if you insist on disrespecting us like this. So now it was financial blackmail. They were literally trying to buy my compliance. Dad, I said slowly, are you really telling me that your financial support is conditional on me accepting less than I deserve? He didn't see the problem. And that's when I made a decision that would change everything. I took a deep breath and said, okay, take me off your phone plan. Take me off your insurance. Take back every dollar you've ever helped me with. Because I'm not for sale. My dad was shocked. You're being ridiculous. We're your parents. Yes, I said. You are. And parents are supposed to celebrate their children's accomplishments. They're supposed to make their kids feel valued. They're supposed to treat their children equally. But you don't do that. And I'm done accepting it. He tried to argue, but I wasn't done. I have 3 days until graduation. 3 days until my party. You can come or not come, that's your choice. But I'm not canceling it. I'm not apologizing. And I'm not backing down. Not this time. I hung up before he could respond. And then I did something crazy. I went to the phone store that afternoon and got my own plan. I called the insurance company and got my own policy. It was going to be tight financially, but I didn't care. I was free. The next 2 days were silent from my parents, but graduation day arrived and I had no idea who would actually show up. Graduation morning, I woke up with this weird calm. I'd done everything I could do. The party was planned, invitations were sent, and I'd stood my ground. Whether my parents came or not, whether anyone came or not, I was going to celebrate myself. I got ready slowly, carefully. I did my hair the way I wanted it. I wore the dress I'd picked out, the one my mom had said was too much when I showed her. I looked in the mirror, and for the first time in a long time, I felt proud of myself. Not just for graduating, but for everything. The ceremony was beautiful. I walked across that stage, got my diploma, and even though I couldn't see individual faces in the audience, I felt strong. Pull. After the ceremony, I had 2 hours before my party. I was nervous. What if no one came? What if my parents showed up and caused a scene? What if I'd burned all these bridges for nothing? I got to the venue early, and what I saw made me burst into tears immediately. My friends had transformed the space. There were flowers everywhere, real flowers, beautiful arrangements. The string lights I'd mentioned were up, twinkling even in the afternoon sun. There was a table full of food, way more than we'd planned because everyone had gone above and beyond. And the cake, oh my God, the cake. Sarah had made this 3-tier masterpiece with "She believed she could, so she did" written on it. I was crying before anyone even arrived. But then they started coming. My friends, my classmates, my professors. Aunt Linda showed up with a gift. My friends had transformed the space. There were flowers everywhere, real flowers, beautiful arrangements. The string lights I'd mentioned were up, twinkling even in the afternoon sun. There was a table full of food, way more than we'd planned because everyone had gone above and beyond. And the cake, oh my God, the cake. Sarah had made this 3-tier masterpiece with "She believed she could, so she did" written on it. I was crying before anyone even arrived. But then they started coming. My friends, my classmates, my professors. Aunt Linda showed up with a gift bag so big she needed help carrying it. Uncle Joe brought his entire family. Cousin Maya actually drove 6 hours like she promised. My grandmother arrived with a photo album she'd been making for months, pictures of me from childhood through graduation with little notes about how proud she was. People kept coming. And coming. By 3:30, there were more people at my party than had been at my brother's. Not because I invited more, just because these people actually wanted to be there. 4 p.m., I was giving a thank you speech when I saw them arrive. My parents walked in. All 3 of them, Mom, Dad, and my brother. Jessica wasn't with them, I noticed. Everyone got quiet because they could feel the tension. I stopped mid-speech. My mom looked around at the party, at all the people, at the decorations, at the celebration I'd created for myself. Her eyes were red like she'd been crying. My dad looked uncomfortable, shifting his weight from foot to foot. My brother just looked, I don't know, maybe ashamed? I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to ask them to leave. Part of me wanted to run over and hug them. I just stood there, frozen. Then my grandmother, bless her, walked right up to my mother and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Glad you could finally make it to celebrate your daughter." It was pointed. It was harsh. And it needed to be said. My mom's face crumpled, and I thought she was going to turn around and leave. But instead, she walked toward me. When she reached me, she said something I never expected to hear. My mom's voice was shaky, and tears were running down her face. "You were right," she said. "About all of it. I've been a terrible mother to you, and I didn't even see it until everyone I love showed up to your party instead of supporting my hurt feelings." She looked around at the celebration. "This is what we should have done for you. This is what you deserved, and I was too blind to see it." I didn't know what to say. My dad stepped forward too. "We've been talking for 2 days straight. Really talking. And we realize that we've been failing you for a long time. Not just with this party, with everything." My brother actually apologized too. Said he'd been selfish and had taken advantage of being the favorite without even acknowledging it. I'm not going to lie, one apology didn't fix 22 years of hurt. But it was a start. We didn't hug it out and pretend everything was perfect. But we stayed. They stayed at my party, celebrated with me, and for the first time in my life, I felt seen by them. So that's my graduation story. The graduation party I threw for myself when my family wanted to keep my graduation celebration small. My graduation day became about so much more than just a diploma. Became the day I finally stood up for myself. If your graduation surprises, or your graduation family party didn't go the way you hoped, remember, you can rewrite the ending. Sometimes the best graduation vlog is the one where you decide you matter. Thanks for watching my small graduation party that turned into something so much bigger.